All stations, stand by for an incoming radio transmission.
Hey, good morning. Bob here, K6UDA. And welcome back to the Southern Idaho Preparedness Net. We got a few minutes before we get started with the actual net. I am going to do the same thing. I've been doing the net the last, 2-3 weeks now, using the M1KE. I'm really enjoying this. I gotta get up for a quick second. I've got to adjust. I forgot to get the other computer up and running here. I will be right back. Here, let's go over to Jeff. There you go. Jeff, you're up. Good morning. I'm gonna be right back.
Morning.
Okay. Oh, looks like we've got a good. All right, I'm back in here, and all right, looks like we've got quite the Wires X crowd waiting for us over there in Radio Land once we get there. Let's see who we have in the chat. Man, YouTube is strong this morning. I don't see much going on over on the Rumble side, but YouTube looks strong. Looks like we've got between YouTube and X right now, looks like 16 on board. So as Jeff and I kind of work out our little bugs, and it's funny. It's so weird. We do this every week, and every week something goes wrong. Have you ever noticed that, dude? It's like every week we do this, and every week something doesn't work. You would expect that this would be so dialed in that it would just work. And I don't know. I don't know what to say. But anyway, hey, good to be here. Great day to be alive. How's the weather down in
Cold.
It's cold? What?
Cold.
In Florida?
Been cold. It's 58 right now, so I'm not complaining, but it's been in the 20s. No, it's been in the 20s.
Really?
Frozen broken pipes, all kinds of stuff. Oh yeah.
No. In Florida? That would be a
Yes,
catastrophe in Florida.
It is a catastrophe in Florida.
Wow. That's crazy. All right. Good morning, Greg Smith. In the house, KA2 Subworld, also in the house. Good morning. Let's see, who else do we have in the chat? If you're in the chat, Russell Thomas, good morning over here on YouTube. All these folks here on YouTube. We've got Tim. Tim is over on Rumble in the chat. If you're watching, and it looks like there's 21 of you that are watching, drop a quick little note. Just say good morning in the chat. It helps the algorithm. It helps get the word out. And that's kind of what we're trying to do right now. I'm trying to kind of build this thing up. Good morning from Coeur d'Alene, from Cyrene Pickle, over on the Rumble side. Hey, Rumble is the real home. I started live streaming here on YouTube the beginning of the year, and it's I mean, it's nice, but I don't trust YouTube. I just don't trust it. I think if we say the wrong thing, talk about the wrong thing, I think, I think YouTube has a tendency, and I'm going to adjust my camera here just a little bit because of my OCD. I think they'd boot it. They'd boot this channel in a heartbeat. They don't like the stuff that we talk about. They don't want people thinking for themselves. They want you just to be a consumer. And they don't want us talking about preparedness. They don't like that. They hate the fact if we talk about the evil GUNs. It's just crazy. So I mean, honestly, Rumble is the free speech platform. Hey, I'm offensive today. I'm gonna be offensive. Yeah, today, guys. Let's see. Let's move over here real quick. We'll go back over. And today we are talking, I'm calling this comms 3.0 for preppers. We've got to get out of the mentality of stockpiling radios and saving a bunch of bow fangs for someday. And it could be that I'm completely wrong. I don't know. But I don't think I am. Based on what we've learned from Minnesota, from what the anti-ICE protesters, and today, I don't care how you feel about the anti-ICE protesters, whether you support anti-ICE or whether you don't support, or whether you support ICE and what they're doing, or whether you don't support. What I don't support, or what I don't trust, is the government. When it comes right down to it, I don't trust the government. Let's see. We're going to move on to the net screen here because that's coming up in just a minute. But anyway, we need to, I think we need to take a lesson in the prepping world about building an infrastructure and being able to have effective command and control structure and get stuff done. Everybody's talking about we've always talked about having secure communications, and we all know that ham radio by its very nature, not secure. It's not meant to be secure. It's not meant to be encrypted. And what the left has done, at least in Michigan, that we could see because we had somebody got on the inside and exposed it all. We saw the depth of what can be done using technology. And I know one of the big things that we're always talking about is, we can't rely on technology and infrastructure because what if it goes away? Well, minus like an EMP or, the super volcano at Yellowstone popping off, I don't really see our government turning off the internet so much because that is how they track us. That is how they control us, is through all the social media crap that's going on. They want to keep everybody fixated on the small stuff. Hey, look at the shiny little ball over here. I find it very interesting. This whole Jeff, have you found it interesting? All of a sudden, the entire news cycle this week is about this Nancy Guthrie. and somewhere in Arizona. Have you even heard about it?
Oh yeah, I mean I've heard about it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's weird that we hear about it considering who her daughter is, but no.
Well, I don't even know who her
Yeah, I've heard
daughter
about it.
is. I mean, I know it's some,
She's like the Today Show anchor.
Oh, okay. Okay. I don't watch the Today
Yeah.
Show, so.
Yeah.
But, I think it's very interesting that the entire news cycle is filled with this. I mean, I'm seeing all the crime shows and all this, and it seems like, everything on YouTube right now is this entire let me bring that down just a hair here. The entire news cycle seems like it is centered around her this week. And, and who knows what the news cycles, but there's so much more going on in the world. Yet they take the shiny little bauble and they dangle it in front of us. Like, oh, you know what? Hey, just look at the pretty lights over here. And then they get to do whatever they want to do. You and I, Jeff, were talking the other day about the possibility of a war in Iran. Oh, it's kind of crazy. Got a couple of minutes before we start the deal, or the radio portion of the net, guys. And let me run over here real quick to cameras. I've got hang on, let's dump this for a minute. Running over here, FTM 400 up on the house there, and let's do this. We'll get rid of that. Come back to camera number 1. I want to go through all of these things that are up on the screen today during our main focus. I want you guys to think about, what can we learn as a prepping community, as communicators, because that's kind of our whole deal here, is setting up communications, being the top communicators. I'm going to run this right back over to the net screen. And we'll be picking up the radio. But today, once again, I'm using the M1KE because I believe in, if you've got a piece of technology that works, and I've got radios here and the radios are working, we're talking over a local repeater that's, out in the shop, and it is time to go. So we're going to go do that. And then we'll talk about the technology, how we can integrate the technology and make things better. All right, good morning and welcome to the Southern Idaho Preparedness Net. I'm Bob, K6UDA, your net control host this morning. This net meets every Saturday morning at 0900 hours Mountain Time, 9 a.m. on the K6UDA repeater located deep within the Southern Idaho Command in Twin Falls, Idaho. This is a digital radio net accessible via Wires X Room 40448 and YSF Reflector 40448, both called, the Idaho Command. It's also available on the Hanson Butte 2-meter fusion repeater 145.170, and local hams with analog radios can get on here, check in, and participate using the KB7 DFP repeater 442.000. I'll let it drop. The purpose of this net is the free exchange of information related to emergency preparedness, commonly known as prepping. We encourage deep dives into subjects related to food, water, shelter, personal protection, weapons, survival tactics, medical issues, communication gear, and techniques. I'm looking for subject matter experts to lead discussions on all these various subjects. And if you have material you'd like to present or discuss when you check in, please indicate that you have a subject. Although not primarily political, discussion of relevant political, cultural, or religious events are welcome in the context of situational awareness and survival. As part of my personal preparedness plan, practicing for the gathering and dissemination of important news and information to my friends, family, and the local community is what this net is all about. So, as training, we do a sit rep or situation report every week. While times are good, I'm using general news stories that I find interesting, and I ask everyone here to contribute their own stories or sit reps, especially if they are in or near an affected area of an actual emergency. I'm going to let it drop. Okay. In order to give everyone an opportunity to be heard, I'm going to do check-ins and comments in the following order. We'll do local repeater check-ins, then Wires X check-ins, YSF check-ins, live stream comments, and you are encouraged to check in with your first name, call sign, location, and how you're getting onto the net. I.e. the local repeater, Wires X, YSF. That being said, do we have any local repeater check-ins?
Hotel, John. Return out. Repeater.
All right, we had a nice little double there. I got John in there and Terry. John, I copied. You're in and out. Do you have any traffic for the net?
No, Bob. I'm coming to you on the 144 out of Hanson, and I'm just trying to work a new country right now on 10 meters, so I'll be standing by, but kind of paying attention to the other band.
All right, my friend. Good to hear you. Thanks for checking in, and good luck on 10 meters. Terry, KJ7RAR, got you in there, and do you have any traffic for the net?
Well, everything I would say is keep an eye on what's happening in Iran. It's very serious. Right now, it's been suggested between 30,000 and 60,000 murdered Iranians who've been just gunned down in the street and in their hospitals and everywhere. And so that is just going to continue to build up over there until something happens. So we just need to keep our eye on there. And like you said, not be deceived by kidnappings and other things that people want us to be distracted with. KJ7RAR.
Yep. Thanks, Terry. Let's see. Looking for check-ins. We'll do a couple more local repeater, and then we'll move on to Wires X.
This is Kilo Bravo 7 Delta Foxtrot Papa KV 7 CMT 7 fault with no traffic.
All right, Ken, thanks for checking in, and thanks for the use of your repeater for the net. And I copied no traffic. Check-ins for the Southern Idaho Preparedness Net. Come now.
Bravo 7, Sierra Quebec Sierra. Lance in Twin Falls on the 14517 analog. No traffic.
All right, Lance, thank you for checking in. Copied no traffic, and thanks for the use of your repeater to host the net. And thanks for putting this out over a whole bunch of repeaters in the Magic Valley. Let's see, looking for check-ins for the Southern Idaho Preparedness Net. Come now.
W6CJ, wires X node covering parts of LA and Pasadena with one sit rep.
All right, good morning, Jay. Thanks for checking in, and copied that you do have a sit rep, and we'll get back to you in the sit rep section. Check-ins for the Southern Idaho Preparedness Net. Come now.
Kilo Foxtrot 0, Oscar Hotel Uniform. This is Sean in Minnesota.
All right. Good morning, Sean. Thanks for checking in. Good to hear you. And do you have anything for the net?
Well, there were a couple of things that hit our local news. They didn't like the J6er that kicked down a ice sculpture that was made in front of the Capitol. They had something for prosecute ICE written out there, and he decided to go down and knock out a few letters so it said pro-ICE in the end of it. I thought that was a nice recommendation for freedom of speech, too. But they found it to be felony charges. They got him under arrest, released him, and he's got another trial date coming up. Then we had Omar got attacked, which was shortly after they exposed her winery as fraud. So we got another distraction that takes mainstream media. That's about all I got for now. KF0, OHU, back to net.
All right. Thanks for that, Sean. Just amazing. The two faces of justice that we get. Man, we got quite the crowds on both Rumble and YouTube this morning. We are looking for check-ins for the Southern Idaho Preparedness Net. Come now.
November 7, Romeo Bravo Papa in Medford. Good morning. No traffic.
All right, Bob in Medford. Good to hear you. Thanks for checking in, and I copied no traffic from you. Check-ins for the Southern Idaho Preparedness Net. This is K6UDA.
This is Kilo Victor 4 Sierra, Russell in Alabama. No traffic. Coming down on Wires X.
All right, Russell. Copy no traffic. Thanks for checking in, and good to hear you on the net. We'll do one or two more check-ins, and then we'll get to sit reps. So check-ins for the Southern Idaho Preparedness Net.
WSH, Bill from Michigan.
All right. Good morning, Bill in Michigan. Do you have anything for the net?
we had a little issue yesterday. Michigan, two kids, two brothers, one shot the other one. And then they arrested the dad for improper storage of his weapon. And there's quite a few bills on the front of the government in Michigan right now on gun control. They want to change our CPL from $150 every 5 years down to $30 every 5 years. And we're trying to just get rid of that and get the constitutional carry, but it doesn't look good for Michigan.
Well, you know what? We'll the rest of the country will all say a prayer for Michigan and hope you guys can get a little bit more constitutional. Let's see. We'll do one more and then we'll get into the sit rep section and then we'll come back to some final check-ins. So check-ins for the Southern Idaho Preparedness Net. Come now. This is a great turnout. All right, hearing none at the moment. We'll get into the sit rep section and what the sit rep section is. Like I said at the beginning of the net, there's situation reports. These can be anything from severe weather reports, which I think Jeff might have one from Florida this morning, all the way to what I call just general news stories that we consider interesting for right now, interesting or important for right now. And right now, what we're doing is we're training for doing something if the regular news and information outlets become unavailable for whatever reason. Then that could be a disruption of an infrastructure. That could be a tyrannical government that is shutting things down. That could be just about anything. But what we're doing right now is this is all training, and we do a weekly training here. So today, or number one on my list here for sit reps, on Friday, U.S. President Donald Trump signed the executive order enabling tariffs on goods from companies that do business with Iran effective this morning. So look for that. And I'm going to let it drop. All right, something everybody should be concerned about, even if you don't own any. I think most of us have a little bit, though, around here. On Friday, gold plunged 10.5%, and spot gold was down 6.1% to 45.65. Let's see. Yep. With the sell-off extending into Sunday, Monday sessions in Asian hours. This morning, I just checked the gold prices on Kitco. Gold is back up right now at $49.66. Silver at $77.69. Super volatile, guys. I don't think we've ever seen gold and silver as volatile as they are. They're usually a fairly steady commodity, and I think that this shows that there's huge instability in governments and economies around the world for this to happen. I'm gonna let it drop. Let's see. In 2A news, something that we should all kind of keep in the back of our minds. I would imagine most, if not all of us, are big Second Amendment advocates here. The shooting of Alex Peretti and the assertion from top government officials, including the president, right off the bat, that we do not have the right to remain armed at a protest. That's basically what I'm saying, is showing what they really think of our constitutional rights. Now, we all know that President Trump is a populist, and I don't think he's a big 2A advocate himself. I think he is he wants to do what's good for him and what's good for the country, but he wants to do what's popular. So he backs the Second Amendment, which I am so happy about. Most of these people in our government, like Judge Janine Pirro, Pam Bondi, even Kash Patel, they have walked back their initial statements, but their comments, their initial comments, really show us that they will try to limit our Second Amendment rights. And the Second Amendment does not have anything to do with protests. As a matter of fact, the Second Amendment was written to protect us in protests. So we have an absolute right to carry at a protest. We just don't have the right to interfere with law enforcement from doing their jobs. That's simple. And that's my soapbox. I'm going to let it drop. All right. Do we have any last minute comments? Man, we've got big crowds today. Got a good amount of nodes in on Wires X. We've got 22 over on YouTube right now, and 34 over on Rumble right now. And let's just take a quick look and see. Whoa, I didn't even pull up X. We are live streaming on X. So if you want to, crap, I have to stop that from going. Okay, I can't even see the comments on there right now. But anyway, it is a great crowd this morning. And I think the discussion after the net is going to be very, very thought-provoking. I've got my feelings on it, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say. We need to get on the ball and become the premier communicators in the prepping world. Anybody have any other comments or check-ins? Come now. I don't see anything. All right. All right, hearing nothing, I am going to go ahead and end the radio portion of the net. We're going to continue on the live streams on Rumble and YouTube, and that is you can find that at the Idaho Preparedness channel on either one of those two. Look forward to hearing from you over there. And I am going to release all the nodes and repeaters back to their normal ham radio use. This is K6UDA saying thank you and 7-3. All right. And now I get to put that one down. Look at that, guys. I just did a ham radio net on not a ham radio. I love it. I love it. All right. Man, we got so many comments in there today. Jeff, good morning to the second half of the net here. We got any good comments in there?
No, not yet. Just a lot of hellos.
Okay. Okay. Well, today, I did a video the other day, and it was the left's secret weapon, how they outpaced preppers. This was my very first. I tried this kind of as an experiment. I wrote a script. I wrote the script, and then I went out to AI and I got an AI voice to do the video, and then I just put in my B-roll stuff. Got some mixed reviews on it, and I'd love to hear what you guys think if you've seen it at all. It's up on the Idaho Preparedness channel, I believe, on both Rumble and on YouTube. Not getting the biggest play, but hey, you know what? I wanted to try something new. Anyway, recent events in Minnesota and in places like California, they illustrate how activist networks leverage encrypted messaging apps like Signal for rapid coordination, real-time location, sharing of federal agents and vehicles, alerts on movements, and compartmentalized info flow during protests against ICE operations. Groups maintain speed and privacy through disappearing messages, group channels, human relays, even as authorities deploy facial recognition, Palantir, data analytics, drones, cell phone tracking, social media monitoring. They're still getting away with it. And, hang on here. Oh, that's right. Jay, I forgot. You had a sit rep for us. Go ahead. Oop. W6CJ, K6UDA. I forgot about you. You had a sit rep for us? Oops. Okay, well, I don't see him on the Wires X list anymore. So, Jay, if you're watching, sorry about that. You can jump back on the radio if you want. The edge is coming from OPSEC discipline. Minimal metadata exposure. They're using quick channel switches and a huge amount of redundancy. But we know as preppers, and we've been prepping for this, all the cell phone, the texting and everything, cell phone based apps are vulnerable to grid failures, to jamming, subpoenas, device tracking, mass surveillance. And we as preppers, we can outperform this by adopting similar principles, doing fast, private, decentralized information flows, but on a truly independent hardware-based systems that require no internet or infrastructure. Let's see. That could be just local traffic on there. Let me get to my bullet points here. So for years, we as preppers, we have been stockpiling cheap ham radios and GMRS radios, putting them away so we could pass them out, when the time comes. One of the problems is, though, with that is we don't, if those of us that are stockpiling these radios so we could pass them out to our groups when the time comes, we're not practicing, we're not training, and we're not getting better. We're not building the infrastructure right now. The thing that with the left, the anti-ICE protesters didn't just come up with this whole infrastructure. And I think we've probably all seen the Cam Higbee videos that were floating around this last week. We've probably all seen at least some of those videos. And it's not as if the anti-ICE people came up with this in a vacuum and it just, it was like, oh, eureka, gold. They have been developing this and putting this into effect, I think, over a number of years. And for whatever reason, either the government complicity or a government failure to be able to track it, to be able to do something about it, shows us that it works. And it's gotten to the point where it is now, where they have dispatchers, albeit, at the state level there. I have heard fairly reliably that the dispatch center was in the county EOC building, and they were using police dispatchers to put stuff out. But anyway, I digress. We are always thinking of, we're putting food away, we're putting ammo away, we're putting radios away. We've been preparing for someday, not next Tuesday. And I think that's a big thing. Jeff, your signal looks weak. Are you still there?
I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Your picture just kind of got a little weirded out. I think we're preparing, or we're preparing right. We're preparing for the, I've always prepared for the EMP or the big civil war that we don't know what it's going to look like. I think we're already in the Civil War, and I don't think there's a way out of it. I'm going to bring the other chat over here, because today we really need you guys and your input to make this thing work, because we're looking for answers here, and I don't have the answers. Meshtastic. Okay. Yeah. Steve Glover says Meshtastic mesh networks are encrypted on private channels. Your community can build this net. Absolutely. 100%. I am part of a local mesh network here. This is this thing, little Meshtastic device. My cell phone does the heavy lifting. This is the radio. It's all text based, completely off the grid. This thing might go out for, my phone's got to be within Bluetooth range of this. This must be within about a half a mile to a mile of something else, which I've got another something else outside, which broadcasts it into the city, which all it needs to do is pick up on one more, and then that one spiders out and will get my message out to a lot of people. We are here in the Magic Valley of Idaho, the Twin Falls area. We are connected by these with no internet whatsoever. We can send messages to Boise, to the Boise area, and to Salt Lake City. The problem is when you start spreading out, it's not reliable. Some messages might go through, some might not. So just kind of wanted to bring that. They're great for a local comms plan. They are fantastic for a local comms plan. I've got some ideas, but I don't know if they're the right ideas. We need to be thinking about using or integrating, and I know most of us are hams on here, and as hams, I don't know why, but hams typically, even for the emergency side of things, are very technology adverse. Everybody wants to use a radio. It's like, oh, we gotta fit the radio into every single aspect of, because it's kind of that like they're afraid, like we're afraid of, hey, if we could just use a cell phone instead of the radio for a part of the communication package, we're going to lose the radio. And I don't know why hams have this. It's like a fear, I guess. I don't know. But we've now been proven, or it's been proven, that using mesh and using things like the Signal app are a huge benefit to large and small groups, making it scalable. And I don't see many groups. I don't see many people putting together training and building networks beforehand. We're not out there protesting and doing nefarious stuff. And I think, the anti-ICE people, for the most part, are engaging in very nefarious stuff. And I don't agree with the ideology. What I admire, and what I gotta say, if it works, it works, and give them props, is the fact that they have made a system work, and they've made it work so well. We need to take notice of what they have accomplished, and I think we need to adapt it to our needs. And maybe our needs are a lot smaller, or a lot more small community based than theirs. I don't know, but I see them working, in Minneapolis at a city level with, several working groups that are cohesive. They've got good vetting. It was absolutely secure until somebody got in, because they're looking to get in. And and I guarantee you, ham radio is a lot easier to get into and find out what's going on. But right now, we're not doing anything nefarious, and I don't think we as preppers want to do nefarious stuff with our groups. I think we want to be able to communicate. We want to be able to survive whatever happens. But anyway, there's a couple of groups like AMCON and AMRON that are doing some training, and it's more on the radio based training. Here on the SIPNet, I have instituted more of a little bit broader, but still radio based communication system that we're practicing for, because we practice, or we communicate verbally and visually. What is? Hang on here. I've got a bunch of mesh stuff coming up here. Mesh messages, and my cameras are going off. We need to be able to change our culture. We need to build scalable communication networks that are both open to new preppers and groups for things like basic news and information, community events, markets, bartering. And it needs to be secure enough that when the time comes to protect against a tyrannical government, the enemies of a civil war, a foreign invasion, that we can vet those people. And I think it's all been proven to be able to work. Oh yeah, that's another thing. The mesh networks, or Meshtastic at least, you can put an encrypted channel on these things, or not so much on the radio, but in the app you can put an encrypted channel, so only the people that have the key can read the messages. The messages still go through, and they still get passed through non-secure means, but you can't read the message and you can't take it apart because I believe it's PGP encrypted, which is really, really tough to break.
Hey Bob, are you familiar with Mesh Core? They're chatting about Mesh Core in both YouTube and Rumble right now.
Okay, I have not played with Mesh Core yet. I really want to. I want to start playing with Mesh Core.
K-Falls Bob says that Mesh Core is rapidly taking over Meshtastic. There's hundreds of Mesh Core repeaters going up with full West Coast coverage. And then Russell says that Mesh Core has more reliable comms with wide infrastructure, and Alabama is switching over to Mesh Core from Meshtastic. So I did a quick search on the web here, and it says Mesh Core focuses on reliable repeater-based infrastructure with explicit paths and lower traffic, ideal for stable, long-range networks, while Meshtastic prioritizes easy-to-use ad hoc mobile networking where any device can relay, better for events and spontaneous group communications, though potentially less reliable over long distance. So where Meshtastic suffers with the closer proximity requirements, Mesh Core fills a void by giving you a broader range of communication. Sounds like.
I have been, I've heard a little bit more about Mesh Core lately. I haven't played with it. I haven't bought anything that is a Mesh Core node or a Mesh Core repeater. I built a node that I stuck up on the top of a tower with a solar panel that charges. It keeps it charged, and that gets me out from, if I send a message on this little guy here, this one goes out and it gets heard by the one outside that's up on a tower, or actually it's on a flagpole. And that gets me into the city or out to a repeater. And that's kind of about as far as I've gotten in the whole thing. You could flash your current hardware with Mesh Core. Ah, interesting. Very, very interesting. Now, Now, here's the thing. And then Steve Glover says Meshtastic can integrate with internet for rural areas when times are good. Meshcore and Meshtastic have their pros and cons. Yeah. I have mixed, excuse me. I've got mixed feedback on the whole Meshtastic thing as far as a personal experience. I've been running it now for about a year. And yes, at times it is fairly reliable, close range. If we were doing something in, say, the city, if I was to go into Twin Falls, this is fairly reliable at, within that 1 mile, 2 mile distance. I'm about close to 7 to 8 miles outside the city. And it's a lot less reliable. I'll send a message out. It'll say it's been received by my node. I will see something on somebody else's node, but I could be sending a message to another friend of mine a mile down the road, and he doesn't get it. So I don't know. I think that the mesh core needs some stability work. I like the fact that it's text based. I love the fact that you can use encrypted stuff. Here, let me pull up. Like, here are some messages right now. I mean, these are coming in right now from Mountain Home. Mountain Home is Mountain Home is 60 miles from my place. But if I were to try to send a message to this guy, it probably wouldn't work. So it's K Falls Bob. It is. Meshtastic is a great tool, especially for the short range stuff. ATAC it can be based on Meshtastic, where you've seen the guys with their plate carriers and they've got their phone up on their chest and they could flip it down and there's a map. There would be an ATAC map and it would show everybody in their team their exact locations. Military uses ATAC, or a better form of ATAC. Let's see. I want to move on, and man, I really want. Let's see. What we need, I'm thinking, is melting everything together, putting it, building a cohesive system that we could get out across the country. The ham community we bill ourselves as the emergency communicators. But like I said before, we want to use one tool, ham radio, for every scenario, whether it's a neighborhood that has a problem, that you've got an Aries group that comes out and is providing some kind of communication or backbone for, or national, regional kinds of things. We want to use that one tool, and I get it, because the ham radio groups feel like, oh, if we don't use ham radio, then what good are we? We're proving that we're not worthy. We are supposed to be emergency communicators, not emergency radio operators per se. And to do that, in my opinion, we need to we need to become masters of putting all this stuff together. I'm thinking of my PACE plan, and here's what I would kind of. Here's my suggestion. We make our primary, like the Signal app, secure, super scalable, very quickly. We've got to put some infrastructure into place on, say, Signal, and then an alternate, Meshtastic and Meshcore, and maybe add in JS8 call for short messaging over longer hauls where the infrastructure may or may not be working. Those are all great text-based applications that we can get a good message through. What I really was impressed with the Signal app was the ability for these ad hoc groups to form, and they were on voice chats. So you've got people real-time dispatching and real-time getting info in, almost like their own little police radio system, totally vetted. And then we need our contingency plan. ham, GMRS, CB, encrypted DMR radios, WinLink. Though that I'm thinking is more of a contingency. And then the emergency, runners, dead drops, and smoke signals, whatever. How do we build this? I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel. The anti-ICE protesters, they built out this fairly robust, secure, scalable, very well documented communication system. I think we as a community need to. Whoop, Jeff just went away.
I'm still here. I think my camera died.
Oh, okay. The anti-ICE protesters, no matter how we feel about them, whether we agree or disagree, doesn't matter. They built out a very well documented system, and I would love to get my hands on their how to put this system together document and adjust that more for the prepping community. I think it's very important that we modernize. I honestly, minus an EMP or some big event, maybe even a Carrington event, I don't think we're going to lose the internet. I think the government is going to do everything in their power to keep, even if they go, oh, we're going to limit Facebook or we're going to limit, X or whatever in the future. They're not getting rid of it because everything is dependent on it, number one. And they are dependent on keeping us hooked and under their surveillance. And I'm hoping that somebody, and I'm sure there are enough tools out there. Well, there are enough tools out there, low-tech tools that we can 100% stop these things from spying on us. You could throw it in a Faraday bag when it's not critical that it is communicating. So integrating wireless, like the Signal device, in with other technologies. Here's my example that I came up with. Some regional incident happens. Let's say we've got a major earthquake in southern Idaho. The Signal alert goes out, and if there's teams or groups, they get mobilized, or Aries groups, let's say, but they're now equipped with, say, Signal. At the city or a district level, a mesh network system is employed to direct smaller teams, and they avoid possible system overloads with a cell network by jumping off onto little mesh networks like this. And then the small teams can use voice, say under encrypted DMR or fusion or whatever, even open radio. Then they can get real-time comms while conducting other tasks like, let's say, search and rescue or supply deliveries or whatever needs to get done. So that's kind of how I see this whole thing. It's not much different than a standard Aries plan right now, but we're also talking about, okay, what if we've got to put up with a Red Dawn kind of a thing or whatever. This can be scalable to something like that. Let's see. I'm looking at some of these comments here. Meshtastic can integrate with internet. Alabama has switched to Meshcore from Meshtastic from Russell Thomas. Okay, cool. I need to look into Meshcore. Does Meshcore, let me ask, does Meshcore require a firmware flash on, say, your LoRa device and a different device other than the Meshtastic app, or how does that play if I've got a couple of, say, Meshtastic devices around here? And can we integrate the two? Meshtastic may be fantastic for that. Hey, we're on, we're 2 blocks away, or we're on the other side of this property line, as opposed to, we're trying to get a message out across a big city. Different flash, different apps. Okay. So it's just a different flash and different app, same hardware structure. Jeff, you got to get back to Michigan, huh?
Yeah, no, I'm not in a hurry.
I want to hear what other people have to I'm looking for input. Am I just completely wrong? I don't know. What do you think, Jeff?
I don't think you're wrong. One of the comments that you mentioned earlier about amateur radio operators and how we're supposed to be emergency communicators. I think that even, I haven't been a ham operator for long. I mean, it's been 15 years, 20 years, but I think that I've seen it evolve since I've got licensed to be, I don't look at us so much as ham radio operators anymore, as more like master communicators. And things like Meshtastic is why I have those feelings, because back in the day, with the old tube radios, it was all about the radio. It was all about what you could do with the radio. And I look at these new gadgetry like Meshtastic and the POC radios and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all communications methods. And because we are just naturally scientific and like to play with things like that, I look at ham radio more like a master communicator thing. And I think that we need to be adept in communicating in whatever way possible when we need to be able to do so.
Yeah. Yeah. I see that's the thing. And that's what I've been part of Aries. And what I see, especially in the traditional ham radio world, is everybody in ham radio, or there is a large percentage of people in the ham radio community who they need to fit this square peg into a round hole. And they don't care how they do it. They don't care if they got to take this thing apart into component level, but it needs to fit into this round hole no matter what it is. And they exclude, and sometimes, it's good to think about it. Yeah, rightfully so. They exclude everything that's on this because it isn't a radio. It isn't ham radio. And yeah, I agree. We are supposed to be the master communicators, however that is. And we're not going to get put out of business because we're not in business as ham radio operators. But I think, they include, Russell Thomas says, we include Signal, Mesh, and Zello into their structures. I think we need to push for more of that, more of a total system integration. And in the prepping world, I think it's even more important as things happen. I mean, here's how I look at it. The way it's starting to kind of look at this point, we've got a big fight coming up in the midterm elections. If the Republicans lose the House and the Senate, nothing will get done. And then if we get, God forbid, if we get Gavin Newsom or a Kamala Harris or an AOC as a president the next time, we will never see free, fair elections. It will become tyranny within a year. They will not hesitate to push the gas pedal all the way to the floor and do whatever they're going to do. They will stack the courts and try to disarm us. And that's when you get right down to it, guys. And I hate to get on my political high horse, my Second Amendment high horse, but that is the key. That is the key thing that they want. And I think a good part of the Republicans would just as soon have it too. But you can't control a population that can fight back. And that's the only reason right now that the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the 14th Amendment are still all working, is because we have the ability to fight back. We have 300 million guns in America, and they know it. And it doesn't take much if you, when the people lose, when the people have no hope and they feel helpless and hopeless, bad stuff can happen, and they know that. The left right now, the ICE protesters, a lot of them might feel helpless and hopeless, but they also know that they're still drinking their Starbucks iced lattes before they hit the protest trail. they've all still got their phones in their hands, their $1,500 computers in their hands, and those are working. We need to prepare for really bad times ahead, and I think we need to integrate this into, and we need to train with it. We need to build an infrastructure more than collecting radios and mesh networks and crap. We need to have the infrastructure in place. I mean, it can be bad. Exclusion action. This is from Mark Cornkey. Point-to-point microwave is difficult to intercept as you have to be in line with the broadcast signal. Militia GAN.
Michigan. Instead of Michigan.
Oh, Militiagan. Why don't you read the freaking comments? Because I obviously can't read. Exclusion action.
Well, let's go back to the beginning so it all makes sense.
All right.
Internet's a spy tool. Build a local separate series of systems. All radio can be used for data streaming to include CB. Point small format postcard microwave units can cover long distance between allied areas local. The only issue is constant upkeep with regard to alignment. Point-to-point microwave is difficult to intercept as you have to be in line with the broadcaster signal. And then he says exclusion action is needed to maintain OPSEC. Close communication should be hard wire lines, point-to-point. Many local communities are now creating private copper wire telephone nets.
Very interesting. Well, that's like the back in the 60s, they would have LPOPs in like in Vietnam, and they would have, their radio telephones would have like a half mile of copper wire just strung out on the ground, from command and control to an LPOP. And that's how they did it. And so now that's interesting that that we're now coming back to what's old is now new again.
Think about the book 1 Second After, that series. And that's what they did, was they repurposed all the copper phone lines to create communication for their inner trade routes and communities.
Yeah. And
I think online.
And I think we've been so stuck on that model, Patriots, 1 Second After, where the entire it's like the entire infrastructure just crumbles on itself. And we have been training and preparing in that vein that this is what's going to happen. Everything's going to break down. Nothing will work there. And I am beginning to think that maybe we're preparing for someday this might happen. And there's nothing wrong with that, but we're not saying, hey, next week, our government is going to institute this new rule that you can't say this or you can't do that. And if you think, that's a bunch of crap that it can't happen. I mean, look what's happening in Canada now. They're arresting people. It's starting to get like London, where you never thought that people would go to jail over mean tweets. And now they are. And you've got an element here in the US that would like to kill people over their beliefs. These anti-ICE people, a lot of them, or some of them, have gone on, they've made their social media posts saying, oh, when we get control, we're going to go house to house. And if you had a Trump sticker on your car, we're going to ask you why. And if you don't give us the right answer, we're done. You're done. I take them at their word. I never think that people like that are blowing hot air and that it won't happen. If they get the chance, if they had the opportunity, I have no doubt that that's what they would want to do. That is, what's Che Guevara, Cuba. You know, they were once a free society, and Che Guevara came in. We're going to have a revolution, and everything's going to be wonderful. Instituted communism, and it has been one of the most repressive societies in the world for 60 years now. 70, 60 years, yeah. It can happen. It can happen here. Can't happen until they take the guns. And when they start, and that's why I am such a huge Second Amendment advocate and activist. Let's see. Immediate theater communications should be a full spectrum of CBFRS 2 meter with separate radios for each element of the radio grid. I agree. I completely agree. And I think what we need to do as a community, and I think it would be really beneficial if we as the emergency communicators, we as the people that are willing to kind of stick our necks out on the chopping block. I mean, my Lord, if I was a smart prepper, I would never have started this channel. I would never talk about any of this stuff in the open. I just like sit in my bunker and wait for the end. But I'll tell you what, man, if you think you're going to lone wolf it, you're not. Nobody's going to lone wolf it. Nobody's going to lone wolf it. Yeah. And that's why
I was watching a channel. I was watching a channel a couple nights ago that talked about that, and it kind of goes along with what you're saying. And if we go back to day one, the first video that you ever posted to do with prepping, and we think about how this has evolved from there, and realize that I think, and I agree with this other channel, and I'm not name dropping. I think we did it backwards because of what you just said.
We as a channel, or we as a
me? We as a channel. We as a channel did it backwards. Because we started talking about the gear and having things that we needed and so on and so forth, and in the different phases of preparedness. And what you just said hints on exactly where I'm going is we should focus more on the community first, because nobody's going to lone wolf it. We're not going to be alone. You need to focus on the inner circle first, and build your partnerships. And hopefully, you keep talking about how you're lack a little bit in the medical side of things. And there's some things that I'm light on. I tried to be a jack of all trades, but master of none. And there are things that I think the community would have helped us with, that we wouldn't have to even worry about it. If we built that community and we got the medical people in, you'd never even have to think about it. You just say, okay, that's your gig. You think about that. I'm going to focus on firearms, or I'm going to focus on comms, whatever. And I think that when I watched that video, kind of like a light bulb popped, and I said, makes a lot of sense, because you can have all the gear on the planet. You can have tons of preps.
Yes.
But if you're still by yourself, you're still by yourself.
You're
And
not going to
what's that
last.
gonna do?
No.
No.
And if it's a 1 month event and everything was going to go back to normal,
Then
I
you'd
would say
survive.
maybe you could survive.
Right.
I mean, because I've got a year's worth of food, but what I see is, I see a slow burn. I see a devolvement into right now. It'll devolve into anarchy, or lawlessness, and then you'll have the big thumb of authority will come in and say, "Do you want us to fix it? We can fix this for you." This is what I'm afraid of right now, with the Trump administration and the buy-in from the conservative side. And I'm of the conservative side, and Trump has done wonderful on the border, but I think the potential for this government to become tyrannical is, it's 100% there. I wouldn't trust.
Sure.
I don't trust this government any more than I trusted the last one. As far as that, are they doing what
you said that? Go ahead. Sorry.
Are they doing what we asked them to do in the last election? Yes, 100%. More than the Biden administration ever did, or the Obama administration did. But it can go. It could go either way. I mean, one side we could see what they were doing right up. Let's see. Mark said, let's see, watch the movie, The Checklist, Russian with English subtitles. What they want to do here, it's on YouTube. Okay, I'll have to check that one out. Yep, the end of the world as we know it. What would you want to say?
I was going to say, one of the things you said was that we're focused on things like 1 second after and the Patriots and things like that. And I agree, but I think 1 second after is I don't want to call it fantasy land, because who wants to fantasize about that? But that's worst case scenario. Obviously, EMP hit, and that's worst case. One step before nuclear war. But Patriots, I feel like, is absolutely what's on the verge of happening in this country right now. I mean, Patriots was about financial collapse. That's what started Patriots.
Yes,
and
the
they had the financial collapse, and the dollar went to hell and wasn't worth anything. And with this precious metals volatility that's going on, everybody gets excited when they see the value of gold and silver going up. But the problem is when gold and silver goes up, the dollar goes down. And
100%.
If gold and silver goes up infinitely and the dollar becomes useless, well, then we're going to be in that financial crunch. And, you got to think about things. That's my biggest fear, because I feel like that is the most realistic thing that could happen in this country. We're already starting to be on the verge of it, short of obviously the civil unrest, civil war aspect of things. But if the dollar becomes useless and all of a sudden we can't pay our bills, if the Civil War is not already happening, it's gonna happen because of that, because that's when the people that are desperate, that weren't prepared for it, are going to start knocking on your door, trying to steal your food, looting houses, not just businesses, but houses too.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest concern is the dollar taking a dump and the financial crisis coming. And I do think that that's realistic. And and then you think about how the book goes along, and all of a sudden the government comes in to help. But is it really the government? It's some type
of provisional government, or the provisional government, or the white knight, they say, who's going to come in to save us.
Yeah, we can help you, but you have to succumb to everything we say.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what we've got to prepare for. And in order to do that, I think we need to have we need to have a way that we're going to be able to communicate, bartering systems. CSCV Farmer says Hitler did that. Yeah, well, I mean, so did Hugo Chavez did that. So did Pol Pot. Every despot dictator in the history of the world, that's what they've done. They had to get the people to submit somehow. And they did that by disarming them. So, we got to keep that in mind. We got to keep in mind the economic thing, like you said. To me, that is the number one thing that I see as bringing this country to its knees. And I mean, and that could be in conjunction with some kind of a civil war. And I don't know what the civil war really looks like. I don't see it so much as the North versus the South. I see it as possibly some kind of a national divorce, where maybe, let's say California decides we're going to break off and we're going to do our own thing. And then they go to war, or, and then they decide, well, we're going to go into Nevada, or we're going to go into Idaho, and we're going to take the resources of Idaho because we can, because there's 40 million of us and 2 million of them. And that's really what I see as kind of as the war. I don't see us, we're not the North and the South. That's not how we're divided right now. We're divided along an ideological line where we were, I guess, in the first Civil War, but it was really, you had the farmers who in the South who were more like, well, I can't farm if I can't have the workers, if I can't have the slaves as workers. So that was their impetus. And I don't
think we're going to know who our enemy is. I don't think we're going to know. And that's why I think it's important to focus on community first. I mean, not first because we're already ahead of the game per se, but I feel like community needs to be priority, because if that person isn't in your community, in your inner circle, or at least on your radar today, you are not going to know in that instance if they can be trusted.
Yeah.
Because everybody's going to want to be trusted in that situation. And I think the only way you're going to know is if they're in your circle today. Even if they're, we'll call it the other side. We'll just say the other side. You know, one of my very best friends is on the other side and thinks differently than we do. Not extreme like the extreme left, but thinks differently. But I know that in that scenario, we'd have each other's back.
Right.
But the point is that, short of that, I don't know if my neighbor 5 doors down that I've only talked to once or twice has the same feeling. You know, he might act like he's trustworthy in a time of desperation so that he can infiltrate and get inside and find out what you have that could benefit him and then stab you in the back, literally. You know, you don't know unless you know and that's the fear. That's the fear about this type of war. You don't know who your enemy's going to be.
Yeah. No, I mean, 100%. And that's why I think it's so important that things like the SIPNet, things like AMRON, AMCON, local groups. We saw, let's see, Mark Kornke says a large militia meeting in Hillsdale County, Michigan this afternoon. Ohio, Indiana, West Virginia units, and more visiting today. I mean, we still have to be very careful about the terminology that we're using. I guess, because when you say that to the left is like that dog whistle. That's, oh my God, it's the white supremacists. They're the white supremacists, and very well probably are not. They're probably people like us that just, we don't trust the government and we don't trust what's happening in our country. And even if we did or do, we're preparing for a time when everything goes to shit. I mean, it, and we are so close.
Yes, we are.
It's funny. I don't know if you were listening or if you caught the net last week or 2 weeks ago.
I don't miss them. Just because I'm not here don't mean I don't watch them.
Well, I know you were at the RV show 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man, in 70-degree weather. I wish.
I'll tell you, it's 68 degrees now, but it's been in the 20s, and there was snow like all over the state. Not here, thank goodness.
Mm-hmm.
But they had pipes freeze. Everything. All the water mains and stuff are above the surface. There's no frost. There's no digging your pipes down so many inches to go below the frost line in Florida. So they've had lots of pipes break, lots of sprinkler systems go off, run all night long, freeze over the crops, destroy the crops. It's pretty bad down here.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
well,
not as bad as it is in Tennessee right now, but it's pretty bad down here.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's been warm. We're supposed to get back up into the mid to high 70s next week. So I feel
and
for
it's
you.
unseasonably warm here and dry. We haven't had, I think it snowed twice this year or this entire winter. It's rained a couple of days, but I mean, we're looking at drought conditions here in Idaho. It's crazy.
Here as well. No rain.
Yeah. I mean,
but back home in Michigan, it's freezing. CUCV farmer, what's the temperature up there right now? I'm guessing it's really cold.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Let's see. Ed says, being in preparedness, I take that as doing what needs to be done to protect my family and friends. Cannot waver in this mentality. 100%. I couldn't agree with that more. I think though that I'm not asking the world, I don't think. I'm just saying, hey, look, why aren't we training more on building out an emergency comms system that we can quickly get vetted, or that we could quickly join, that's scalable down to, neighborhood stuff, which is, it's a lot. 49 degrees right now, says Lance. Yeah,
15 degrees currently in Rose City, Michigan, which is actually very close to my home in Michigan. So.
Yeah, it's unseasonably warm here right now. It's kind of crazy. And Lance is here, just down the road. I don't know. I'm looking for input. I have no problem trying to take, say, like what the anti-ice people have done. If I could get a hold, I would love to get a hold of their entire their manual, even if they've scrapped it at this point because it's been exposed for whatever reason. What they've done is a great playbook as far as their communication build out. I would love to take that and work it over and adapt it for what our purposes are. And our purposes aren't, well, at least today, our purposes are not to disrupt the government, but who knows? Who knows what it'll be next year? Who knows what will happen? Will we have a financial crunch that takes down? And it very well could be that Verizon or AT&T has huge outages, which are beyond their control for whatever reason, and so huge amounts of the cell system go down. I could see on a local level things like, I have Sparklight internet. A financial collapse happens, and 3 weeks later, for whatever reason, Sparklight couldn't pay their bill to the backbone, and so they just shut down. Well, now all of a sudden, it's not like I could call up another provider, and there's that now. Starlink is, I've got my Starlink Mini and I've got it on their kind of standby plan. That's something that we as groups need to look at is, hey, alternate ways of getting internet. I don't see Starlink as having the same issues as a local internet provider. That
I do.
You do?
If they can't pay their employees, then there's not going to be anybody coming into work to keep it running. That's the problem that I see with any internet provider, including that one.
Okay.
If the dollar loses total value, and the companies can't afford to pay their employees, thinking back on Patriots again, some companies stayed open into the future and they paid their employees with goods. They paid their employees with IOUs. The dedicated employees kept coming, but eventually they realized that the goods ran out or the IOUs were never going to be worth anything, so they stopped coming. So Starlink is probably, in my opinion, the safest because it probably will go the longest, but I believe that even cousin Elon's going to stop paying people if the dollar becomes useless.
And
if that happens, they're
not
going to come in and that one's going to shut down too. Nobody's going to be there to reboot it, to clear the cache on the server.
Yeah. No, that very well could happen. Do I think that that we would have a little bit longer of and I don't know, maybe Elon's already thought of this. We don't know. We don't know how much of a prepper he is, if any. Let's see. Ed says, I see with commercial companies, they are worried about their bottom line to please the stock market and not doing upgrades. And we're seeing this with cell outages and power outages in Tennessee. Yeah. I've been messaging with Pam, and who's in Tennessee. And, and I commented this morning. I saw her, she posted something in our Discord. Oh, and if you haven't been to the Discord, man, we need to start that thing up again.
Should be doing that right now instead of this.
We should. We should.
Except that a lot of folks here, I mean, there's still a lot of people online. We were over 55 people at one point in time.
We've got 44.
We're still at 34.
Yeah, and we still got 44 on YouTube. So
we're 70 plus people online right now.
70. Yeah, I mean, so we've been close today to having 100 people in this. And guys, thank you so much, because this is what it's all about. I don't have answers. I got questions. I got more questions than answers. I got my opinions, and my opinions are worth nothing. I don't know.
Your opinion's what started this this show.
Yeah. This is true. Mrs. K6UDA. Everybody say hi, Mrs. K6UDA. In and out. Let's see. Anything else? Or have we beaten this thing like a dead pony? I don't know.
We've beaten it. You made a comment about why aren't we building a comms plan or a comms system that we can go online and be vetted and everything else. And I would say that part of the reason for that is because a lot of the people that are into Meshtastic and things like that probably aren't into preparedness like we are. And if I wanted to build a comm system, I'd want to build a comm system utilizing the folks that I'm familiar with. Like, you got 100 people online today. If those 100 people wanted to try to build a mesh system that covered the country, that we could have encrypted communications through a mesh network, that would be pretty badass. But
that would be really badass.
To just go like, let's just jump onto the mesh wagon with a bunch of people we don't know.
No.
That's not really what
you don't have to. Here's a beautiful thing here. I got to show you. Let me see if I can bring it up over here, and I might be able to. Let me go to the camera and nope, not that one. Not that one. I wanted
somebody's got too many cameras.
Yeah, no, that's my phone. What I wanted to do, and I can't. Crap. Okay.
Ed says they're switching to Mesh Core in Illinois. It seems like a better system, and the software works better than Meshtastic. So Illinois is doing a transition too.
Okay. Well, we just started this deal. Let me disconnect that, and I'll go to my mesh deal here. So, okay, I've got right now 110 nodes that I'm seeing here. There's me right there. The Curry uplink is also me. That's right outside. And then there's a friend who lives down the street. Very, very spotty for me to get to him. Well, I haven't heard him on here, and I don't know. Maybe he hasn't been turning on his little mesh node, but I haven't heard him since November. Then there's a bunch here afterwards that are from today. But what I was going to show you is one of the things. Connect nodes. Connect. Oh, okay. Channels. So we could do direct messages to people. You could do channels. And if I do channels, we're on a project around here called Frequency 51. And this is this wide area deal. Now I could make another channel in here and I could say preppers, or, a prepper channel. And so only anybody would be able to find it if they knew that there was a prepper channel. And then I have another channel here. I call it BAT21. That is an encrypted channel. Only nodes that I share my encryption key with will be able to read that. That's it. But we're then back to that. Where are they in the world? If you and I could share my encryption key with you, but unless our radios are able to hear each other through a mesh network, some kind of a mesh network, it does us no good. With MeshCore, I'm using my client from inside my house with a metal roof to a repeater 10 miles away. 100% of the time so far, but the bands have been good. Yeah.
That's impressive.
That is. Now, there is a repeater on top of Mount Harrison here, which is about 30 miles away. It's up at 10,000 feet. So it's looking down and it's able to see us here and relay information. But that repeater number one is on Meshtastic right now. I don't know if they've done a MeshCore repeater up there. And it's not something that I could repurpose and say, hey, I'm starting a new channel, some local comms channel. I can't repurpose that repeater. We would have to build out a new infrastructure for whatever we want to use it for, because the Freak 51 is here, and that is the main thing. This is still right now, around here at least, a very experimental technology. It isn't being used. It's not being used like ham radio is for conducting nets and stable communications, at least yet, or to my knowledge. Paradise, Magalia area developed a decent Meshtastic medium fast in a matter of 2 months. Connections into the Bay Area. Yeah. See, I mean, it can spread very, very quickly, but Jeff's idea of, hey, we don't want to just, like ham radio, you don't want to just call CQ, right?
Right. Right.
I want,
You definitely don't want to call CQ.
you don't
You
want to
don't
call
wanna do that.
CQ in that regard. We want people that we know, and maybe we vet them into, people who express an interest in preparedness. And we go, okay, you're welcome into this channel or this group. And then the inner group, which could be 5 families on this street who are tied together, and we get on our own little mesh network and do that. But now, 5 families on this block, is it easier to use GMRS or ham radio? Most likely. Is it secure? No. But the mesh would be secure. And I would say, okay, your fallback level would be your Mesh-tastic in that case. Your primary, let's say your primary communications method let's say after the collapse, the 5 families here on this street, everybody's got GMRS. Let's say everybody's got a GMRS radio, and we could have a daily check-in. Hey, are you okay? Dave down the street here, are you okay? Bob, are you okay? Russ, are you okay? Jeff, yes. And everybody can go, yes. All right. Hey, everybody go to the mesh core 1 or whatever. Let's go mesh core channel 0. And now we could talk about things that we don't want anybody else in the neighborhood to hear about. But we don't have to meet. We don't have to physically meet. And it's, you're not as worried about the bad guys hearing about it. These are the kinds of things. And then we want to be able to scale it up, maybe to a citywide thing. So if we're going to put together an open air market, so people could trade goods and services. And maybe we need to have a channel where different groups or different neighborhoods can get on, and we can establish, hey, we're going to meet, we're going to have this ad hoc market, and we're going to all kind of spring up, and everybody will be around and doing their thing at this time at this location. Maybe you don't want to put that out over open radio. You'd be surprised on what coverage you can get at a core repeater up on that mountain. Yeah, you know what? I am going to talk to, there's a couple of guys that are kind of running our whole Mesh-tastic thing going on here in the Magic Valley. And I'm going to talk to them. We've discussed that at a Mesh-tastic meeting. Good thing it's all the same hardware, just reflashing. But it looks like Tastic is strong in here. Yeah, the Mesh-tastic is very, very strong here. But I look at a lot of the messages here, and it's a lot like, I don't want channels help. The messages that I'm seeing, it's cold outside. I'm standing outside in shorts. Yep, I'm staying inside. Temu has some cheap electric vests, socks, and insoles. It's stupid, It's like ham radio talk. War driving. I went to Applebee's. So it's very, very random. Morning, folks. Happy Saturday. Top of the mesh to you. So, yeah, it's fun, but it's more experimental, and it's very, very fragmented. I'm getting half of a conversation between 2 people and not the full thing. because you don't get to direct, at least right now, what hops your antenna's taking. It might go to the place this way for this transmission, and then it might go this way for the next transmission. I don't know. But I would say it's a great start. Mesh core doesn't use individual nodes as repeaters. Rather, they lie on strategic locations. Well, remember it's low power on non-ham frequencies. Yeah, and that part I get. So you don't have to worry about the ham radio police coming after you. Man. All right. I don't have anything else other than, I didn't mean it really didn't devolve into a mesh-tastic thing. It's kind of, we're still
It still comms.
It still comms. Correct. So it's a good idea to have a repeater outside of your house. Well, that's one of the things that's confusing to me. I put up a node outside of here. I originally said, okay, because I'm kind of in a kind of an isolated area. Now you got to remember, I'm in a big valley, at 4,000 feet elevation, but I'm still in a valley in the desert. So I put up a pole, I put up a node on the pole, and at first I put it up as a repeater. Said, okay, you're a repeater. And then we had a meeting, and and the guy that's kind of, knows everything, he said, we don't want a lot of repeaters. You only want repeaters in very strategic locations. But you use the nodes to bounce off of each other, and that's what makes the mesh. That's what makes the mesh network. So I changed mine to a node, and then I changed this to a node that this one does not repeat. This is a non-repeating node. The one outside is a repeating node. So when that gets this traffic, then it goes out and hits something else. But I don't know. Maybe I'm still doing it wrong. One thing I saw on Mesh map, Twin Falls area. Hang on. You guys on Mesh, not on map. Mesh map. Huh. Steve, I would love to pick your brain off of this, because the questions I have start to get a little crazy. Well, this is mesh core. This mesh core is new, so it has traction right now. But we do not rely on just one. We have several types of, and that's the thing, is we need to have the several types of communication. I think one of the downfalls of the anti-ice thing is, for the most part, you didn't have people who were prepping and who were prepping into communications, or on the communications end. So you have probably 80 to 90% of those folks, this is their entire communications package, is on the phone. And if for whatever reason that goes down, they're out of business. Where we are doing a lot more multi-layering, and maybe some based on cell, based on internet, some based on intranet or a mesh, and some based on no kind of a net. And it's, freeform radio. Strategically, you may need to use routers in different modes and favorites to help in reliability. Okay. Very, very cool. See, there's so much. The technology is changing so much. And this is what really gets my goat about some of the hams is you've got an element of ham radio operators that they don't want to hear about this. They don't want to hear about, technologies that are changing so fast and getting so powerful in other areas because it's not ham radio. They don't want to hear about it. They're stuck in that. It has to be WinLink or it has to be HF and CW because, whatever. You think they got signal or something like that encrypted to plan out there? Yes. Ed, if you go on X and you type in ICE signal chats, there's a guy named Cam Higbee who got in on the inside and got screenshots and downloads of all this stuff. He downloaded or got screenshots of their user manual. And that's exactly what they were doing. They were doing chat and text-based dispatching and running plates. And I don't, and then I've got some other intel that they actually were using a county EOC, and they had the city police was involved in this in support roles for the anti-ICE protesters. I mean, it's just freaking insane that, and I blame it almost 100% on the fact that you've got dirty politicians who are getting kickback money out of all this Somali fraud that was going on in that city. And they don't want to go to jail. Pure and simple. So if you don't want to go to jail, what do? Hey, shiny ball over here. Go look at the shiny ball. Let's have more protests. Let's back the protesters so nobody's looking at what I did over here in this corner. We're all looking for the shiny ball over here. If you declare that with your mouth, Jesus is Lord, and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. Amen, brother. 100%. Tarek, over on the Rumble side. That was our whole focus 2 weeks ago when Terry and I were on. He was talking about how the Bible basically foretold a lot of the stuff that's happening right now and kind of the backstory behind what's going on. Yeah. That's bad. That's a bad thing that they have so many people in Minnesota and they could vote in whoever. Yes. It is. It's, that is bad. And part of the problem that I had heard was the Somali community votes as a block, 100% as a block. And they've got they're in areas in such numbers that they can basically tell a city councilman or the mayor, if you don't back this, or if you don't do what we want, exactly how we want it, we won't vote for you, or we'll vote for, we vote you out. And these guys, instead of standing on principle, if they had any to begin with, and who, that's very debatable. Instead of standing on principle and saying, well, then screw you, what you're doing is wrong, and I'll go on, I'll go on TV and explain that you guys are doing fraud. They go along with it and they get bought off. Hey, here's we're getting, the Leering Center's got $2 million. How about here's 50,000 for your campaign? When you dived into what was going on there, it's freaking disgusting. It is an abortion of what our system is supposed to be. Did you hear? There was no Somali EMS calls ever, and no funerals for them either. Weird. Huh. I didn't hear that, but yeah, doesn't surprise me. 50 people on YouTube right now, 22 thumbs up. Please, guys, really quickly, I know we're coming up, man, we're going long.
It's 40 on Rumble. 90
40
total.
on Rumble. Please, thumbs
Right
up
now.
right now. It's free. Guys, hit that thumbs up. If you're watching on TV and you hit the down button on your remote, I believe you get into the little thing where you could go across the screen and you can click a thumbs up over there. Good. 23 on YouTube. What do we got on Rumble, my friend?
Had it in front of me. Where'd it go? 41.
Can I get 50 thumbs up on YouTube, guys? 50 thumbs up. Quickly. Everybody who hasn't hit a thumbs up on YouTube, please hit a thumbs up. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Russell Thomas on YouTube says they control with the money too. I'm going to add that one. They control with the money too. If you don't support our candidate, we'll pull funding for X. Yeah, that's it. They that's how they have learned to control the system. That's how they got that Ilhan Omar elected. They don't care. And unless, I don't honestly believe that Tim Walz wanted to take the state flag and change it to the Somali flag. I don't think he was, he's all about Somalia. But if he didn't do that, they were going to not back him. And he's so deep in now with the money thing, I'm sure, that absolutely they own him. That's like getting in bed with the mafia. Once you do it, you're in. You get jumped in for life, and there's no way out. Man. Yeah, Nick Shirley did a great job exposing that money trail. Pray for him. Pray that he doesn't get whacked doing this, because there's a lot of people on the left that, it's funny. There's a lot that you see on some of these YouTube programs. They really don't know why they're protesting. It just feels good, or Orange Man bad, and they have no answers for themselves. I believe in answers. I'm not the brightest guy in the world. I know a little bit about ham radio. I know a little bit more about guns and the Second Amendment. And I'm a Second Amendment voter. I am a straight up Second Amendment voter, if you guys haven't figured that one out. All right, guys. It's 11. I got things to do. Jeff, I'm sure you got things to do, and so do you guys. All of our time is important to us, and I think it's time to. So, if you have any ideas for what you'd like to see next week, please put them in the comments. Actually, I had a topic. You guys tell me if you thumbs up if you like this topic. When does the government actually become tyrannical? Right now, you've got the left that says the government is tyrannical, ICE is tyrannical, and they are at war with ICE. When, I don't believe that the government is tyrannical right now. Can they turn tyrannical? Absolutely. When does the government turn tyrannical, and when is it justified to fight back or defend yourself? Maybe next week? How's that sound? I don't know. Thumbs up if you like that idea. Or if you don't like that idea, just something to talk about, my friends. And like Jeff said, I don't want this net to be about the latest, greatest water filter or how much ammo you got to stock all the time. Although those are important issues. Jeff, final thoughts.
Stay safe, stay vigilant. Keep your head on a swivel.
Stay armed. Thumbs up, my friends. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us.
See you guys.
And